is Sam Waterman. I'm the 9th District Intern, and welcome to another episode of Candidate Conversations. Today, I'm lucky enough to have Angela Elliott on the program. Angela Elliott is a lifelong Hoosier running to represent House District 93. Angela grew up in rural Indiana, but studied at Indiana University and graduated with degrees in computer science and business. She has spent her career in the Indianapolis area, serving as both an information technology leader for Eli Lilly and an independent business consultant. In terms of policy, Angela is committed to improving public education by addressing the needs of teachers, protecting the environment, improving access to safe and good-paying jobs, and promoting equality for all Hoosiers. Angela's campaign has been endorsed by 25 Women for 2020, the American Federation of Teachers in Indiana, Marion County Young Democrats, the Indiana Stonewall Democrats, and many other organizations around the state. Angela is incredibly passionate and qualified to be House District 93's next representative. Angela, I'd like to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. So I always start off by asking my guests what inspired you to run for office.
Well, thank you for asking that. I have not been a lifelong politician. My career has actually been in information technology, as you talked about. And I got involved because I was concerned about some of the statistics I began to learn about Indiana and where I saw our country going after 2016. And so my approach was to get involved locally. And so I got involved with our local Johnson County Democratic Party and began getting involved with issues like redistricting and learning how that worked and learning how our state house worked. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to be involved to try to make a difference. So, and I got involved with the organization 25 Women for 2020 in order to help someone else run for office, and actually decided to run myself because this district was a great opportunity, and it was a perfect opportunity at the time for me to run for this office. So I am inspired by my children, number one. I want them to grow up here and have a great life in Indiana. Indiana has served me very well, and I think we need to make some changes in order for it to continue the successful trend that we've had. So I want to do things that will build state policy, that will enable us to be a great place for people to continue to live, work, and play.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And I'm glad to have passionate people like you making this state the home that we all want to see. So my second question, I wanted to ask about your experience in the business world. How do you think that your experience as an information technology leader makes you ready to tackle the political world?
That's a great question. And I get that one quite a bit. How are you going to go from working in information technology at Eli Lilly and Company to working as a politician? And I think one of the things that it's important to know about information technology work is what you're doing is solving problems. And you're solving problems that have multiple constituents. So as you are working on solving a problem, you need to understand the impacts it's going to have on different groups of people and bring all those requirements together and come up with the best solution to solve the problem at hand. And I think in our state house, problem solving is one of the things that we really need, and that will be very applicable. Just like in information technology, when you're working on social issues and political issues and government policy, you have to consider the problem you're trying to address or the goal you're trying to accomplish, and then all the different people that are impacted by it, and how will you serve those different constituencies. Another thing that I think is very relevant to serving in the State House is around constituent services. So not only are you creating policy, but you're also serving your constituents and helping them when they need to navigate through issues that they haven't been able to resolve on their own, or bring their unique perspective into a state level policy. So as an information technology leader, a part of my job was often to be a supervisor and represent others, and so and advocate for others. And I think those skills will also be applicable to working in the State House.
Absolutely. I definitely am excited to see how you bring those problem solving skills into the State House, and how you bring your unique perspective in and actually address your constituents' concerns and needs, because I mean, I'm sure, as we've all seen, that doesn't happen a lot. So I'm going to move on to my third question. I've heard you discuss the environment a lot in your platform, but how do you plan to propose legislation that tackles climate change while avoiding the divisiveness that the subject often brings?
Well, I think that that's a good question on especially about the divisiveness that it can bring. And I think that it's really important that in the State House, we focus on bipartisan cooperation. We really need to work on the balance in our State House right now with a Republican supermajority. We're not really bringing all the perspectives to the table and having as much debate as I believe we really should to enable getting to the best solutions. So one of the things that I will focus on, and that's very important to me, is coming together and working across the aisle. And I think one of the things that we can all agree on is the economic benefits that green jobs can bring to our state and help us move into the future. I think one of the bills that sticks out in my mind that I spent a lot of time watching and following through the legislative session during the last session was HB 1414. And it's really important that we look at the future and where we're headed, and coal is not our future. We need to move forward, and green technology is one of the ways we do that. It is also very important that we take care to make sure that those folks who are in that industry now are not left behind, and that we work with them to support them as they make transitions into better jobs. So I think it's really important to see all the aspects. And one of the ways that I would work very hard to move things forward is to focus on bipartisanship, focus on working together and collaborating on solutions, and thinking about the future and the economic benefit for our state.
Absolutely. I think that's a great strategy to walk into that kind of situation with, because it's so obvious that a lot of your future colleagues are even denying the problem of climate change. So framing it in that manner is definitely a great strategy. So I just have one more question. So as a college student at most of my job on campus is engaging young people in the political process, registering people to vote, and encouraging people to actually go vote. So what do you think that young people add to the political process, and how do you plan to engage young people?
So I think that young people involved in our process bring an energy that we need. Thinking about the future, we are building the future that younger people will live. And so I think it's really important for them to be involved and get engaged in the process. I am very happy to have younger people involved in my campaign. In particular, an intern that's involved with my campaign has just been such a great asset to the team in working on our campaign. I believe we really need to create that space to engage people and create the opportunities. And the more people get involved, the more they will understand the process, and the more we build our bench for moving forward. As a leader in the technology world, at Lilly, one of my responsibilities was building a pipeline for future leaders. And, I think the same thing applies in the political arena. We need to get younger people involved. We need to give them experiences so they build their base of knowledge, and then continue, and then they need to pay it forward as well and bring people along with them. So I think that's the strategy that I will like to bring to the table, is making sure that we're applying some of those same concepts that we use in the corporate world around building a pipeline of talent. We need to do the same things within our political sphere, to bring along people who want to be engaged, help them get engaged, create opportunities. And that's been one of the things I've been most excited about in this campaign as a first-time candidate, and in this particular district. One of the things that's been really exciting to me is creating space for more people to be involved. And we do have a challenge with apathy and people feeling that it doesn't matter, they can't make a difference. I think this campaign and all the people who have been engaged with me, that's been one of the most exciting things, is we have created that space where people can get involved, they can learn, they can be a part of it. And I hope that when we win this race, they will all feel part of that win and continue to stay with us and keep growing our support.
That is so wonderful to hear. As someone that, is part of that kind of pipeline to bigger and better political opportunities, it's so wonderful to hear when candidates bring young people on and actually value their opinions and want them to be part of something bigger. So I'm glad that you're making that change and you're actually taking action towards that. So those are all the questions that I have, but it was so lovely to have you here today. I really appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me as well. As a first-time candidate, I'm looking for every opportunity I can find to connect with and communicate with people in our district, because it is really important for people to know who their local candidates are and make informed decisions. So I really appreciate you contributing to that and helping to create informed voters, because informed voters are a key to a really successful democracy.
Absolutely. I'm definitely on board with that. Thank you so much.